going on, you guys? It is your boy, the American F1 fan, Eric Ringgold here, and it is race week. It is time for the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort, and there's so much to talk about. In just the regards of the track, there's some changes made this week in the track, but there's also some Formula One news. As we're recording this, one of the things that we still haven't heard on is whether Oscar Piastri is going to be contracted to Alpine or McLaren. That is one thing we have not heard yet. And there was supposed to be a decision being handed down today, but still haven't heard anything about that. But we've had some track changes and some other news has come out this week. So let's get on into the race preview for the Dutch Grand Prix. So talking about the track layout first, there's two, I guess, not really major changes to the track. So obviously, the first change is I believe it's turn 12 I don't necessarily know names of corners all that well, but turn 12, they have added in this, it's basically glued down gravel, is the best way I can kind of put it. It's supposed to, and I'll show you a picture here, but basically what this does is in the past, with not only the support races, but the Formula One races in general, they would take a little bit too much of this corner. It would kick up gravel onto the track. And so with that kicking the gravel onto the track, it was having to stop races, having to put the races under safety car. And so to stop this, they have used this, this glued down gravel, which is... we haven't seen what it's going to be like, what it's going to be like to drive on it. So it's going to be a very interesting tell as far as, how it races on it. Is it going to, cause issues for traction? Is it going to keep people from taking too much curb there? So that's going to be really interesting. And then also during free practice 1, they are going to be starting the DRS zone that goes onto the main straightaway in the banked curve that leads onto the main straightaway. So just before you hit that banking, the DRS zone will turn on, and you'll be able to open up your rear wing and then travel around that banking onto the main straightaway. So they're doing that for free practice 1. Whether that leads to them actually, extending the DRS zone, during the race weekend, or if it's just to kind of see how cars are going to react and then maybe do something next year. We're not quite certain. Formula One hasn't really said one way or the other what's, necessarily going to happen with that. But hopefully, they're hoping is that it'll create more racing, especially going into that banking. You'll be able to carry a little bit more speed. They're saying you should still be able to go, basically, pedal to the floor, all out through that corner. So we're going to see in free practice 1 whether or not that's actually the case. Now, going into some news and notes going into this weekend, one of the major news stories to come out this week is Mick Schumacher will not return to the Ferrari Drivers Academy for 2023. And so now that puts a seat in Formula One up in the air even more, because typically Haas has carried at least one young Ferrari driver on their roster, and this is going to be the first time that, with Mick not being with the Driver Academy, is Haas going to be, basically in the market for another young Ferrari driver, or are they going to be basically allowed to run whoever they want to? And rumors have been swirling that second seat could go to Daniel Ricciardo. With as big of a fan base as he has here in the United States, and really just, he loves America. He gets over here as much as he can. He's on all the late night talk shows here in the United States. I see like this may be a really good fit, and to, have a guy that, yes, he's not American, but, to have a guy that, really can relate to a lot of the U.S. fans that are getting into Formula One, I truly think that could be a really good move on Haas's part. And two, you put two veterans in seats at Haas with Kevin Magnussen already signed for 2023. to partner him up with Daniel Ricciardo, I mean, the sky's the limit with Haas, because now you're going to have two guys that are going to be able to give you feedback on upgrades throughout the season. Maybe teach you, where the car should be going later on in the season. So if we see Daniel Ricciardo go to Haas, that would be, I think, a huge, huge deal for this American F1 team. Speaking of F1 and America, there are rumors that AlphaTauri is in talks with Colton Herta. So now, Colton Herta has been linked to McLaren over the last year or so. There was talks that if Andretti were to get into Formula One, Andretti would bring him over as their top driver. But right now, Colton Herta is being talked about to be put in one of the other AlphaTauri seats. Obviously, Yuki Tsunoda is not under contract for next season. There's talks that Pierre Gasly may go to Alpine. So they would need to fill one, potentially two seats. And so Colton Herta definitely fits that bill. The problem is, though, he doesn't have enough points to earn his super license, which you would need to be able to race in Formula One. Now, we have seen in the past that Formula One has made exceptions or, made changes to the point system to be able to get a driver his super license. So it'll be interesting to see what Formula One may try to do to get a U.S. driver over into Formula One as soon as possible. Will they change some rules up, or will they, basically stick by the rules and, make Colton Herta maybe do some other things to get those super license points? So now it's race prediction time. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, it's been Max's world, and we're just all kind of living through it. I want to say that there's not going to be more of the same this weekend, and Ferrari's going to jump back into it. The thing is none of the teams are really bringing in upgrades. We're just 2 weeks out of the summer break, so obviously with that summer break, all the teams, all the mechanics, all the, aerodynamicists, basically everybody had to stop working. And so we haven't seen any upgrades coming in yet. I mean, and obviously with a lot of these teams, you're starting to look at some of the major upgrades that teams have brought and see, how can you adapt it to your car, or maybe make that upgrade a little bit better than what one other team has done. So we're not seeing any new upgrades yet. You may not see any for, another couple weeks. You may even see some teams that decide, what, let's push to 2023. Let's really work on 2023's car. But going into the race this weekend, I don't see Ferrari, making the strides that they need to push a Max Verstappen. And, it's going to honestly take a Herculean effort from Charles Leclerc, one. And it's going to take a lot of, DNFs on Max's side. And early in the season, yes, you got those DNFs because of the reliability. But, since the, middle to, just after the break, you've seen that the reliability has been there for Red Bull. And they just took new engine parts last week. So they have a new engine in the car, basically. And I just see more of the same for Max. I truly think Max is going to win again this weekend and really just extend his lead. And I can see a Charles Leclerc finishing top 3 podium, because Ferrari's going to do whatever they can to, maybe mitigate the damage, at least chase after the Constructors' Championship. I think at this point is maybe the goal for Ferrari. Sergio Perez has kind of fallen off here over the last several weeks, especially since the summer break. He's been saying that there's some, with the upgrades that have been put on the car, there's some things that aren't necessarily agreeing with him and the way he drives the car. So we've been seeing issues there. Mercedes has kept making pushes forward, so we can definitely see, a real jumbled up podium, maybe a Max, Charles, and Lewis, or a Max, Charles, and George. But it's really that midfield fight that, I think most F1 fans are going to be, kind of paying attention to, with Alpine leading the way in 4th place. Then you've got McLaren, you've got Alfa Romeo, you've got Alfa Tauri, Haas, Aston Martin. You know, you've got so many teams in this midfield battle that that's the fight that I think a lot of people are going to start focusing on going into the rest of the season. So for one, I'm interested to see, you know, who's going to finish best of the rest. We saw, you know, last weekend, you know, the McLarens had some really good pace. Lando had some really good pace in qualifying. You know, ended up having to start at the back of the grid, but was able to really make up positions there. You know, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon have just been lights out all season long for Alpine. So I just don't see any changes there with Alpine being at the front. But who else is going to join them? Could it be a Haas? Could it be an Alfa Romeo who, you know, we've seen kind of fall off the pace here? You know, over the last couple months, you know, at the beginning of the season, we saw Alfa Romeo, you know, really running well, and now they've just been nowhere. They've had reliability issues. You know, we had a crash from Valtteri Bottas last week that, you know, really wasn't his fault, you know, but it took one of the drivers out of the race. So I think the midfield battle is really going to be, you know, what to watch for over the last 8 races of the season. But guys, let me know what you guys think of the Dutch Grand Prix, what you guys are looking forward to in the race. Let me know what your predictions are for the Dutch Grand Prix. Let me know in the comment section down below. Guys, as always, slap a like on this video, slap that little thumbs up button for more daily and weekly Formula One content. Guys, as always, subscribe to my channel if you guys are new for more daily and weekly Formula One content. Trying to pump out content all the time. Obviously, personal life does take precedence, so that's why this video is coming out a little bit late. But guys, subscribe. There is going to be more Formula One content coming on the way. But guys, for the American F1 fan, I'm Eric Ringel.